Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of the Chasing Edges podcast. I'm your host, Brian Peters. Got an absolute electric factory on today, David Weck. He is the founder of the WeckMethod based out in San Diego, California. He is also a multiple-time inventor of the BOSU ball, of the Propulsors, of the RMT Rope, and the SoleSteps, and I'm sure he's got a million other patents. He's just an incredible mind. But the boys go down the rabbit hole of locomotion, particularly balanced locomotion, which is his specialty now. He's also a coach, trainer, and runs his gym out there. But the conversation goes down a lot of nuances and takes a lot of left and right turns through the mindset of training, through a look at the current strength programs and now the new adaptations that can influence and improve performance, confidence, and all the above. He speaks on his results in the gym, bigger, faster, stronger, but also philosophically how that bigger, faster, stronger can show up if you look at the system as a whole, if you look at the logic of the ancestral system. Very special conversation, very fun. His storytelling ability is off the charts, and I hope you enjoy. All right, bam. David, thank you for joining me. We've already been ripping a little bit, but appreciate you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We're at the cusp of a physical education revolution, and there is a certain integrity in physical education because 10 push-ups is 10 push-ups. You said you could do 11, but you did 10. So you can change the mind, and spiritual, that's each and everybody's own individual domain, but physical, we all know. You can't bullshit us. And that accountability is key to the integrity of our species that is now being just raked over the coals with dishonesty and corruption and illogic that it's like, I mean, it's, I think that everything is to God's glory, and I think God wants to see a good story. And so you give the devil his due, and you want to see a close game. You want to see overtime. But if I were God, the good guy's going to win in the end. So I feel like this is something where we're going to be able to instill a fundamental integrity into balanced locomotion. And the stuff that you do with breath work is part and parcel to increasing confidence that is underneath the conscious brain. So it's the confidence of an organism that it will be able to protect and preserve life. And NFL, right? Doesn't get any more real than that.
Yeah, it's a different world. Everything's amplified for sure.
Faster.
Yeah, guaranteed. And so, but before we get too deep into your philosophies and all the incredible stuff you're doing, one, I just want to I met you under kind of random circumstance where a mutual friend of ours, Jesse with Breath Belt, sent some stuff there, and I held down his stand at the MLB Strength Convention and just walked in.
Yes. Yeah. When was that?
December maybe.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah. Time is flying by, and so like I lose all reference of like, did that happen a year ago? Did that happen 6 months ago? Did it happen 3 months ago?
Yeah, but it was just it happened at the perfect time because I've been starting to get a little more into movement and just reintegrating just general range of motion stuff for myself, not even thinking about the intricacies that you're doing, but walking. I think we ended up talking for an hour, and just the enthusiasm and the passion, but also the ability to storytell to get these really logical points across. Just that is just why I'm hyped to talk to you today in general. But how we start the podcast called Chasing Edges. Where right now are you chasing edges, living, learning your life?
My mission is every step stronger for everyone. I care about legacy, which is my family, and it is my work. Everything is devoted to that. I lived in Manhattan for 10 years when I was, 22 to 32. And so there are no midlife crises ahead of me, all right? I've had my fun, and now the most fun thing I can do is my work. And so balanced locomotion is the foundation for functional movement, in my opinion. And that's what I'm teaching the world, and it's going very well.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's and it was cool to see it just really briefly, just snapshots of people working some of your techniques. And then you throw the pulsers in my hand, we start working on my hook right away, and think that snap I couldn't get in my hook, that now like you get that feedback loop from the device was really cool. and then obviously your history with BOSU and that whole deal. We'll get into that at some point, but looking at your locomotive philosophy, like how do you usually intro it to somebody? Like what's your, I guess, your overall philosophy there?
Well, my philosophy is that any organism entity can only function optimally if there is balance, and balance is a 100% thing. Balance is now. Gravity, ground, bang, now. So balance isn't, oh, I need time to set up. There's no hesitation when the system has balance. And if there is imbalance, then there is compensatory tension that is protective but not productive. And lower back pain is the biggest scourge on GDP. There are more lost days of work from lower back pain than anything else. And I suffered lower back pain before I understood the biomechanics that I understand now. And I sought the conventional treatment, which is take a leave. And when, you're only supposed to take 2 at maximum for 2 weeks, and I'm buying the bottles that are that tall, popping them like Tic Tacs, Tic Tacs. I get confused with like all these names now, TikTok. But so I basically suffered a year of pain to the point where that's what I was thinking about most of the time. And it's just such a, especially the older you get. And it would, necessity is the mother of invention. And through that, dealing with the pain, I sort of, navigated my way to inventing the BOSU ball, strengthening my feet. Balance is 2 things. There's controlling chaos that life throws at you. And then there is the integration and organization of the motor engrams when nothing's happening. Nobody's hitting me on the football field. There's absolutely no reason why I should fall down and tear my Achilles if nobody hit me. And we have an epidemic in sports now. The non-contact injury is routine. And so logical questions like, is it the surface? Is it the shoes? Is it, I don't know, something else? Or might there be some factor in the training that is working counter to what we think we want to instill into the nervous system? And in 2007, sort of the science and the, sort of the purview of experts about what core function is was conflated with heavy bilateral weightlifting to shifting your weight and moving athletically. And the mistake that was made was equating the core function of bracing super stiff and unchanging through the central column to manage, the biggest squat and the biggest deadlift you can muster, which I'm a fan of, by the way. Okay, a lot of functional people, they forget about strong. Okay, great. Someone's so much stronger, you're gonna beat you anyway. So it is as simple, what I will tell people is that it is head over foot locomotion. It's underhand figure eights. If you think I'm gonna bowl the bowling ball with my right hand, I'm gonna bowl the bowling ball with my left hand and sort of get that side bending that is this 3-dimensional nutritive pressure on the spinal joints and the discs in between. There's not like a venous and arterial blood supply there. It's mechanical pressure that creates the fluid exchange and the health. And then when that is organized without any compensation in the body, stuff just tends to get better. And now you talk about mindset. If I can't even trust myself to orchestrate that movement that is big cat, and I'm clunky, well, what's that do to my fundamental confidence and my fundamental integrity? And what's great is the solution is so simple. It is literally be balanced on one foot and then learn how to transition your weight so when you get there, you are there. When we read the textbooks, walking is a series of controlled falls that you recover every step. As I stumble about life, ignorant because we're so smart that call Domino's in 30 minutes, I get my pizza or it's free, right? You didn't have to go get it, right? So these are the basics. And genius is in discovering that which was there for everybody to see, but nobody saw it, and then simplifying it so that people can get it now. Head over foot is a simple mantra that if you practice it for 3 weeks, you got it. When you shift where you put your car keys, you're gonna go to the other spot for the first week. Oh, yeah. Wait, they're not in the drawer, they're hanging on the hook. Okay, great, right? Until you habituate it, it becomes automatic, and that's the way we exist as human beings. And it's happening because in sports, an advantage is a necessity, and a necessity is a ubiquity. You wear cleats in football. Why? Because they're an advantage, right? Try to play without the cleats or shoes that give you grip, right? Just try, right? You ain't gonna win. And so I look at the next generation, the youngins, and say, okay, little Stevie, we won't teach him how to do it. And little Jennifer, we won't teach her how to do it. And that means that Melissa and Johnny and all the rest got to come along. And I look at you guys, the NFL guys, right? The NBA guys, the baseball, right? The top athletes. You guys are the neon sign. Be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Bo knows, right? Bo knows. And so if we can validate and verify that we can enhance their performance, reduce their likelihood of injury, we don't have to pay them money, right? So I don't have to pay any athlete money. I do trade in kind. You come see me, what's your time right now? Write it down. Okay, let's do this. What's your time? Oh, it's faster. Oh, you jump higher. Oh, you feel better. Okay, I just paid you, and I don't talk to your agent. I talk to you, right? And all you do is tell the truth. Boom! Organic.
Yeah. And that I think that goes overlooked sometimes too, where like, well, one, just the fact that you can, like the 3-week rule, like I'm a big believer that, because most people can't hold on to a diet for that long because they want the results now. And same with your leave concept with the necessity, like people just want to be pain free and they don't want to do the work to get there, or again, uncover the rabbit hole that is like natural movement. Because I know there's a little thing here, but like I got initially introduced to some of this by the GOTA guys, or however you say their name, and just playing around with like pulling my hand under while I ran was super interesting. I do it now when I jog, and just feeling that, and like not being coached on it in that realm, just feeling that feels natural. And I just think that push for people would be interesting, because I do view the strength training as a little rudimentary for sure, because that one, there's like, unless you're like, that's why I push people to like practice their sport, because that's really what you need to be able to like respond to. Yes, you want strength. Yes, you want X amount of well, I don't want to say trigger you by core stability in that realm, but like it makes logical sense to have like a strong thorax, like your strong center, just so you can transition.
What I would say about core stability is it doesn't trigger me. What triggers me is uprooting and false core stability. You want to have the flexibility of the willow and the strength of the oak. So even the oak, if the wind's not blowing too hard, it's still swaying. Get on a big bridge, a suspension bridge. Here's movement, because stiff ain't stable. Get in a tall building, stiff ain't stable. You have to have the leeway and the yield. Otherwise, it's a false bravado and you're weak. And when you see James Harrison moving weight and moving 2,000 pounds on a sled, that's good for football, right? That's good for football, because he's still a big cat and he can funnel that training into big cat, right? And if you ain't big cat, if you're sort of big dog and you sort of, follow the pack and you be a good little boy and do what the trainer says, who has been misinformed, well, then now you end up with this catastrophe of people getting hurt in their career, people not making it to the next level. And we as spectators and fans, we don't see the highest level performance from everybody, and we see far too many injuries. So this is a win-win-win across the board. And it literally boils down to, if it's a foundation of balanced locomotion, which is very simple, and it's not one-sided, okay? The toes out, there's time for that, right? The big toe, absolutely time for that, right? And people have different bodies. Saquon Barkley and Barry Sanders, they're just fundamentally different than Randy Moss, just like fundamentally different. So we are same, but different. And the unique selling proposition of a particular brand, oh, we got to differentiate ourselves. And what it leads to is all these slings and arrows being cast and thrown about. Oh, they suck and we're better, and oh yeah, blah, 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 and they suck and we're better. It's all child's play. It's all just child's play. So I went to Williams College and I played Division III football because there is no Division IV, okay? So I got more of this than I got of this. I can tell you that. But because I move my body in a certain way, I can beat the guy who's bigger than me, faster than me, stronger than me, more flexible than me if he don't know the trick. And the trick is fluid balance. And that's the yielding. And so core stability is the ability to pressurize so that but be fluid so that you, when they hit you, they're hitting the ground. Okay, some people just hit harder than others. Steve Atwater is a good example. Christian Okoye, right? The Nigerian Nightmare, 260 plus pounds. What's Atwater, 220? Boom, 260 goes backward. It's just, and Okoye was a big cat. So that now you're talking about that mental, psychological attitude component. Maybe they're the same equal physically gifted in terms of fluidity, big cat athleticism, but Atwater had a mindset that was able to focus his hit to an infinitesimal point. And so it's concentrated. It's not random. It's not it's sort of like aim small, miss small. So it all comes together. And the number one thing that we can do as fitness professionals is instill the foundation that any brand or particular modality or sport is going to concentrate and focus it into. And going to Williams College, getting a very good education, being around extremely smart people. When I invented the BOSU ball, I said to myself, I am going to become the world's foremost expert on the subject of balance measured by locomotion, because that's objective, right? If you're faster, you're faster. And if you're slower, you're slower. And so you never go off the mark. And fight and flight are two sides of the same coin, but fight is subjective because A beats B and B beats C and C beats A and styles make fights. My master's better than yours and blah, 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 blah. You will never come to 100% agreement. Think about how many things that human beings can come to with 100% agreement. 958, 100-meter dash, there you go. Mic drop, because now you can't disagree. Otherwise, we all just say, okay, he's not part of the conversation, right? Objectivity.
Yeah, and I do think that's dynamite because I chased that because I fell into the world of breath because a lot of the sports psychology and that side of the world is pretty subjective. Like, does goal setting, fear setting, visualization, does it really help? I think so. I don't know. You can record it like your perspective, but your perspective subjective based on like the million variables of a competition on top of this just one tool you're trying to implement. So I'm a big fan of objectivity and then trying to tangibilize everything too, where again, that makes sense. And where I guess I probably misspoke in the realm of core strength, because like I think core is misinterpreted as well, where like, okay, what is your core? Like, are you going to argue that your ability to generate pressure and hold tension there is not derived from also the muscles, but also the diaphragm and the pelvic floor? And I think people overlook that in the realm of breath work.
Well, we are hydraulic creatures, right? We're mostly water, and it's regulated by pneumatics and breath, right? So you have the air pressure and you have the fluid pressure, and fluid pressure is so much more powerful than pneumatic pressure. So you want to get it right, that the fluidity isn't encumbered by what you're doing pneumatically with your breath, first of all. And there's different ways to think of your core. You can think of your center of mass as sort of, the Taoist center of mass would be the Dantian, right? Okay, that's one way to look at it. It's also like an apple core because your neck is your core. If you got a strong neck, odds are you're strong, right? Yeah. And so that's your core. It's not just from your shoulders to your hips, your core. And another way to look at the core is the skeletal system. So when I make a core fist, oh, really? Yeah, that's right. That's my core. I'm hitting you with the floor, and it's triangulated so as to create a circuit that the energy can flow and it's fast and it's fluid and it's strong, because that's the core. The soft tissues have to serve the bones because the bones are the architecture. The bones are already hard. The bones are already, the softer and more fluid you can be with the, and then pressure at the right moment, that's what gives you power. It's not this like, oh, grit my teeth, like, oh yeah, right, oh, he's slow, right? Oh yeah, he's strong in the weight room, but he's really not that good on the field. So what we want to do is we want to make the most of every minute. If I'm in the weight room and you got me, holding the lateral resistance, extending it out and trying to brace myself, well, you're teaching me how to be a deer in the headlights. I am not capable of fight. I am not capable of flight in that moment. And a little 7-year-old come over and push you down because you got no root to the ground. You're not funneling force to the floor. It is so simple. And one of the reasons why, let's sort of, make some speculation, I think is because most of these strength guys have not a clue of the martial science, the fight part of it, right? Because that was once the priority. A spear is the fundamental first American Express card that you can't leave home without. You walk out without the spear, you don't bring back dinner, and you become dinner for some other creature.
Yeah, I love that.
The ability to manipulate the spear and protect your flank. So I'm sitting down here, but if I need to go that way, and there's a coyote, a little pack of them behind me, right? Not big enough to take me out without clipping my Achilles. Well, then I have to differentiate with a verticalization that lets me face the force with the stick back there, but still run fast that way. If I keep my shoulders level, I can't defend my flank. I can't turn my body on the dime. It's this. So the relationship, and I'm the lucky mouse that fell into the bucket of cream inventing the BOSU ball. Right? American dream. What day is it today? Don't matter. What you doing today? Whatever I want to do. That's right. Kids' college is paid for. Right? Living in a nice place, eating what I want, doing what I want. And what I want is, I used to curse my parents and God himself for the athletic situation that I'm in. Division III, because there is no Div 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if I had a 6'4" frame, with my quickness and coordination, I could hit baseball, those kind of things, I'd have been an NFL player too. 5'10"3/4, the football program at 6 feet, but that just didn't cut it. So the motivation to beat the better man by using this to inform and empower this has been the thing that I've been chasing, with the objective measure of A to B is faster, A to B to C, A to B to A, it's faster. And if it is faster, the only way to get it faster at some point is efficiency. Because at some point, the strength is gonna top out. And especially when I'm 53, I'm on the back 9 right now. So, but I continue to get better. And the exploration never ends. So now what I've been doing for 7 months is Jiu Jitsu. So that I already sort of based everything on the Tai Chi, where it's the yielding, the neutralizing, and then the issue, right? So I don't got to fight force on force. Bruce Lee, water, bam, water crashes and then disappears, right? But it crashes. So it's not I'm soft, and some little MMA guy comes in, punch you in the nose, and you fall down, Mr. Tai Chi master. No. Having played football is sort of it's the truth test in terms of just how tough you are. I never ever tried or wanted to injure somebody, but I wanted to hurt them so bad that their family fell down and they wanted to sit out the game. That's what I wanted, right? You're okay tomorrow. Concussions weren't injuries when I played. You got a dinger, right? Okay, great. He's weird for a couple plays and now he's back. That's how I played football.
Yeah, established dominance.
Listen, the momentum of a football game, the momentum of a fight that can change. And suddenly, knowing you're going to win can turn into knowing you're going to lose. Remember Joe Montana? Hey, there's John Candy. Yeah, 37 seconds on the clock. We're on our 15-yard line. No problem, because I'm cool as a cucumber under pressure. That's what it builds. It builds a character probably deeper than any other sport that I can think of, because it's 11 is 1, right? You have to have a synchronization, and you're not just playing for yourself. You're playing for the people around you. And so it's a game where coaching and your intelligent X's and O's can defeat the better man or the better men. Basketball is more like, oh, you got a guy who can score all the points. Well, there's nothing you can do to stop him, right?
Yeah. And that's where I love the game of football for that reason too. It's gladiator battle plus chess in a lot of the sense. And where I think when people learn the intricacies of the game, it just becomes endless. And that's why I coach it. Like, players become coaches, and coaches like do it their whole lives, because it's all encompassing. You always have to stay on the edge. Yeah.
Yeah. I literally, as I approached, 22 years old, and after senior year, what's next? It's not just a given, right? Where you don't have to think. When I'm a sophomore, I know I'm going to be a junior. It's all taken care of. I don't need to think. I'm just on track. Now, 22, it's a big blue ocean out there. Like, what am I going to do? Now, from Williams College, graduate with the honors, I had worked on Wall Street, an internship the summer before. So I was on track to be the millionaire, have the Connecticut house or wherever, right? Tri-state area, 2.5 kids, 7-car garage, house in the Hamptons. But I sit on a train and go back and forth, and I move money around. Oh, great. Shoot me now. And so what I did was I dove into sort of self-psychology and became an actor. Oh, that's interesting. I did that for 7 years intensely until I invent the BOSU ball. And it's okay, this is what I'm doing. Bang, because I got my American dream right here. And this is going to do what my calling is. I thank God I did not get the big part that I had auditioned for, read for producers and because I could be waiting for the phone to ring right now in oblivion, going, ooh, I'm in the backseat of my life. I got my hands on the wheel, and it was the amount of time that I was able to devote to it with an intensity. There may be equal, but there ain't more. And it's just applied to your craft. And my craft is tinkering with movement that I can feel confident in an NFL locker room. I can, God's honest, feel confident in an NFL locker room, because I can carry myself where even if you're so much better than me, you're not going to control my center, right? The reason I can't play in the league is because I can't move you in the here and now if we're just going to do that. But if I have the luxury of backing up, all right, you ain't going to take my balance. I know how to protect my balance with the bony structures. And I'm very bony. Kitty got claws, right? Okay, you see what I mean? And if it's a real fight, I ain't fighting fair. Are you kidding me? So, and it's that base primal testosterone male energy that I don't want to feel submissive, not to anyone. I just don't want to feel like, oh no, if he flips out, I'm in big trouble. And it's a psychological game that I play to motivate me to just drill deeper and deeper.
Yeah, but again, you're creating just the ability to, because in essence, like, the outcome's confidence in a very high chaos, very competitive world. And like, I'm a big believer that like capability and competence are what eventually lead to the John Candy, Joe Montana line, because like, that calm is contagious, but he earned that calm. And like, who knows what his training was like and those kind of things, but it makes logical sense. Because I've started to just like kind of rewire how I view the whole training metric. And did I do it right? Definitely not, looking back in that realm, because and it's just you earn your wisdom. And in that realm, like Frick, who taught Eric Lichter here in town, he hit me with the line that kind of just shifted my viewpoint, because it was always hard for me to balance, like, how many days do I train X, Y, and Z? Do I train my chest? Do I train my legs? Legs feed the wolf. And it's a never ending like balance beam that's already hard enough, because then you have to throw this balance beam onto the under the lights and perform. So he hit me with the line that if you train movements, you will not miss muscles. But if you train muscles, you'll surely miss movements. And I just like sat there with that for a little bit. I'm just like, yo, fuck, why didn't I train movement more? And then now
Yes.
yeah.
Well, what I would say on that is that I would credit Vern Gambetta with sort of coining the phrase way back, train movements, not muscles. Now, I like that, but I have personally evolved into both sides utilized, where I'm going to train movements and I'm going to train muscles. So I want the best of all things. And there is a time and a place for developing a certain part that may be lacking so that I can plug it into the fluid movement. And the difference between the Bo Jackson and the guy who's built like Bo Jackson, who wasn't born like Bo Jackson, is Bo Jackson has that big cat fluidity, and the other person has some tightness because they had to do all that like eccentric trauma and rebuild it, and so you get more restricted. Brian Bosworth, he gonna get run over by the big cat, right? Come on now. That one play destroyed his whole mystique and the rest of the career, but he had the character to do the commercial, the Tecmo Bowl commercial, right? So what I would say is that movement is the priority. You're exactly right. And for anybody listening to this, what I'd like you to do is go on Instagram and follow Eroding Weakness. Eroding Weakness. Because he's my right-hand man. He's the guy who took my work, organized it into a cohesive system, a method that is simplified and truly a foundation. And he has that skill. Now, the reason why he's my right-hand man started with, he came into my lab, I showed him how to coil his core, and he did a 40-pound PR in a one-handed overhead press, bent press. 40 pounds in 15 minutes. Okay, there's something to this Weck character, right? So he comes back in, and I introduce him to the ropes. 4 fundamental patterns with the ropes where you're not jumping through. He had the tenacity and the fire that I have to, when I know something is worth my time, I'm gonna download the software. I'm gonna program myself. And the wisdom in not jumping through the rope goes back to ancestry. When I'm not burning calories to burn calories, I'm getting something done. I'm not hitting a sledgehammer on a tire that requires no precision whatsoever. I'm chopping wood. And if I'm good at it, I can chop more. And my family doesn't die. Okay, I'm not just making myself a brute, right? So there's intelligence to the strength. And eroding weakness, pound for pound, and you pick the physical challenge, world class, world class. And again, I care about stronger with balance, okay? Because all this functional training, I can touch my toes, I can bend over there, okay, right. You're gonna get run over by someone who's strong. And that's just a fact. And so, weights aren't good, they're not, no, do not bash tools. It is your lack as a trainer. You give me a Suzanne Summer Thigh Master and I will show you something productive that you can do with that tool. And it ain't gonna be squeezing your thighs together. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So this fear-based bullying, it is fear-based bullying. I'm gonna tell you 2 stories real quick. The very first deadlift, you know how it happened? Here's how it happened. 2 guys, they're at the grain shop. It's Friday afternoon. It's only 2:30, quitting times 5. There's nobody coming in, but we gotta stay. All right. You see that axle wheel with the wagon out there? It has the 2 wheels and there's a steel bar across there. You think you can pick that up? I don't know. Do you think you can pick that up? All right, $20 says that you can't pick it up and I can. The competitive nature of men, right? You go out there, that's literally your first opportunity in the history of the species to freaking do a perfectly balanced both weights the same size and weight, the bar perfectly straight. You figure out that that or that is stronger than that or that, and you deadlift the bars. Very first one ever. And if it ain't, tell me a better story. Now, the New Jersey mullet, all right, the New Jersey mullet. I don't know if this is the first one, but this was why I grew the New Jersey mullet, because I'm from Jersey, okay? Yeah. I grew up in the town of Madison, New Jersey, extremely tough Italian working class town. So tough that it's like you lived in fear as a freshman in high school. So I'm coming out of 8th grade, and we had a phenomenon there where you got capped. Some kid would come up behind you, hit you on the neck, bap! You'd have welts, and it would go pop like a gun, and everybody'd be laughing at you. So what I did was I grew the hair long and back as a defensive mechanism, so you ain't gonna get the cap on me, you see? And again, if that ain't how it happened, for the first person who did it, well, tell me a better story.
I like that. Tell me a better storyline. I'm going to take that. No, that's, I mean, the best offense is a good defense sometimes in that realm.
Well, the best defense is the best. The best defense is a good offense. That is, if you're the weaker man and you know it, well, you want to set up a sanctuary of defense where they can't kill you. But it comes down to Bruce Lee. It is the intercepting fist. And that's why all this Aikido type martial arts doesn't work if the guy's going to actually beat you up. Because if I wax on or wax off or do something, that's playing chess without a productive move. Because, you know, I didn't hit you. It was 100% defense. I need to be intercepting. I need to create damage now. Every move has to be productive. Can't be something like, oh yeah, I've got a compliant partner and I've hypnotized them and I'm gonna flip them over, and Steven Seagal, right? Because what that is reliant upon is the social agreement that we're not gonna sit here and attack each other. And that gives me the luxury as the teacher, the master, to come up and stand there very calmly and go, okay, you pissed off the bear in real life, okay? First of all, you need a hook, otherwise you're gonna lose, right? So I love reality because I'm in reality. And a failure to acknowledge and understand reality is a recipe for disaster. And when you invent the BOSU ball, you don't gotta jump. You don't gotta jump. You don't got a boss. You don't got any of that stuff. I do what I want. And there is opportunity in that. There is danger in that. I've lost my mind 4 times. And there was a time in my life where, you know, $2 grand of THC a week, you know, the routine, 5:30 a.m., get up, pour $60 of hash oil into a pot of black coffee, boom, all right, here we go. Being crazy, right? And then spinning out off into the timeless time, not functional in the here and now. Through the grace of God, I came back and it's fire. You can cook with it and it can burn you. It's both sides, right? 2 sides to every coin, plus the perimeter, right? So and then I went to Chinese medical school. So, and I studied the Asian internal martial arts, where the whole trick is that you're not stronger than your opponent. So you have to be crafty, you have to be sensitive, my enemy launches the attack first, but I arrive before. So the defense has to be the offense. Otherwise, it's defense. You're never even trying to score a touchdown, right? Yeah. The defensive back, I was a defensive back. When that ball is in the air, it's my ball. It's not, oh, I'm gonna tackle him. No, it's my football. That's my football. And I had the luxury of Neil O'Donnell, professional quarterback. He was a senior when I was a freshman, which meant when he was in the NFL and University of Maryland, I'm getting to play defensive back with him and all the receivers. So what did I do first? My first year is I ran the patterns. I learned the offense. I learned what that guy was trying to do to me. I'm trying to square you up so I got both ways. Like, hey, come on, right? You got to have some kind of shade or shiver. Otherwise, you can't funnel the guy and you can't take one option away. You know what I'm saying? So the X's and the O's, you have to be offensive, and that constitutes the best defense.
No, and it's super. I did the same thing because I was actually a safety in college as well, where like you got to learn their rules and like where do their routes break off of, and their routes break like it's right now 3-step slant, or it's 5 to 7, 10 to 12.
Thank you. I'm lining up every summer with a guy. If he just runs a fly pattern, he catches a touchdown. But fortunately, he's not training to play against me. He's training to play against someone just as good as him. So he has to follow rules now too. And what I did was I'd be 6 yards off. I preferred the outside, and I'm on the quarterback. 3 steps, slant, stop. Only thing I got to worry about is out and up on a fade. That's the only thing I got to worry about. So don't get caught on the pump fake. All right. Now, 4 steps, I'm on my guy. Now I'm not looking at the quarterback as a cornerback, right? And I remember I ran a 4.6 40, but in games I chased down 4.5s, and the 4.5 and 4.4 guys would be in practice like, how the hell are you covering better than me? This.
Yeah.
You're using your athleticism, which is better than me. So I'm using my brain, and my coach used to say, use your head to put your body in the right position, and then it's who's the better man, right? And you got to be Deion Sanders to fake getting beat and give the guy 2 steps and make the quarterback get excited and be like, bing, 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 I'm going to catch them. Because they won't throw the ball here if I play without that coy ability to make you think that you have opportunity.
Yeah, and that's where I always I try and explain in the realm, like you walk into an NFL linebacker room or safety room, whatever, like the physical difference between each human isn't that great. And that's why, but then you look at, again, this combination of experience, intelligence, like actual working under pressure, IQ, and we'll call it like just their game mentality or their ability to be a playmaker. And the reason you give somebody $20 million is their brain, not their body. And so like, that's where I like the priority of like the development of the chess side of the sport. But, and like, obviously that's what makes the dogs.
Well, I mean, if you look at Tom Brady, what made him Tom Brady was his ability to go read option. I'm going to take the one, right? I mean, it's literally that simple. And this is the fun. I mean, this is the reality too. If you're going to play like 20 Mississippi and you can't touch the quarterback, right? Jim Burt is not coming and concussing you and knocking you out of the championship game. I saw Tom Brady recently. He got upset because a guy ran and touched him. He's like, to the ref, hey, he touched me. It ain't football anymore. We're seeing an interception for touchdown get called back because a clean hit that was not dirty is a 15-year-old penalty in the NFL today. And what choice do they have? Because those guys are so big, fast, and strong that if it was old football, they would be concussing so bad that you'd carry guys off the field. Like you wouldn't have enough players at the end of the season to field the team if you allowed that level of big cat athleticism to do what they used to do.
Yeah, because I had this argument the other day where, because like, in essence, like not in essence, I think in fact, the group playing football right now is obviously bigger, stronger, faster, head and shoulders above even from 2000. You look at the tape from then and like it, but it's an implementation of like the stuff you're doing, new training, supplements, all the biohacks and whatever guys are doing now to like get this edge and
the money.
Yeah.
The money, like, listen, if you said to the professional athletic world, you are no longer going to get paid to play with a ball, a puck, or anything, and the only thing you can make money in is running, jumping, and throwing 3 objects, and that's all you're going to make your money on, and we're dangling $600 million in front of you, you think any Olympic record in existence would not be shattered?
Yeah.
You just start using your imagination. Dwight Howard running a hurdles. Like, what? throwing a javelin, right? I mean, it'd just be ridiculous. Bo Jackson doing the decathlon, right? He wouldn't have to run the 1500 at the end because he'd win on 9 events, right? So you got to follow the money. And there's a huge draw of the population with all the money, right? So now you're born and you're given permission through the mirror neurons that you're seeing Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. You can look at plays that Kobe Bryant did, and you can literally frame over frame to Michael Jordan, switch them intermittently, any point in that play, down to the tongue.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same. Because basketball is a game that is fundamentally offensive. Like, Allen Iverson will cross you over, and there is nothing that can be done because it's going to take you 0.16 seconds to react to his first move. And if you don't, he's going to go around you, and if you do, he's going to change it. It ain't soccer, it ain't hockey.
Yeah.
Right? And NFL, what they did with the NFL is they said, all right, we're going to preserve these guys as players, let them keep playing, and we're going to put points on the board. Right, we're going to make this exciting. It's not a 3-0 Super Bowl, and in a torrential storm. No, it's in somewhere where the field is pretty nice conditions, and we're going to favor the offense now because it's a more interesting thing for the average fan to just add up the touchdowns, add up the field, just add them up, and it's just where it is right now. But it's going to be interesting to see where football actually goes as it only gets better. And they stop having their weight room coach telling you, oh, I got a stiff, anti-rotate, anti-extension, anti-flexion, anti-side bend. The core doesn't generate power, it just transmits power. It's like, I mean, actually, I should be grateful and happy that this profession got so far off of just common sense. I mean, you got these PhD exercise scientists that if I were at a bar talking to a carpenter or a guy who cuts lawns, and I said, hey, is stride rate and stride frequency, is that constant among people? Like, what are you talking about? Don't ask me stupid question. That kid's fast, he's moving his feet faster, and that kid's slow, and they're moving the feet slower. Oh, well, the time it takes to reposition the limbs is the same. Little old lady, Usain Bolt. It's like, Jesus, come on. You're measuring them on a treadmill at their relative top speed. So she's going 6 miles an hour and he's going 26 miles an hour. And yes, at that rate, they touch the belt and they're in the air the same amount of time. But the sprinter's touching it with the back knee crossing the front knee, and she's touching it with her legs splayed like that. One of them's fast and the other one ain't. But your little slide rule and your pencils in your pocket and your little, $1 million laboratory where you've never even taken the time to analyze locomotion from the front. The side, I can tell the acceleration, I can tell the stride length, I can tell who wins the race from the side, and no technology necessary to actually watch it. If I want to see a front-on view at a 100-meter dash, I'm going to need a telephoto lens that lets me stand out of the path, right? And I need slow motion because the hand is faster than the eye, right? You slow down the motion and now you can see the magician make the trick. If you see it real time, it's just fast. You just deceives, you can't see it, right? And so I was the guy who, when I was 14 years old, I remember a pro soccer player taught me plyometrics back in that day. And I would go to the library and comb through microfilm, hours to find a 3-paragraph article in some journal somewhere about plyometrics, right? And so I was breaking down video footage when it wasn't easy to do. I was doing it way before the iPhone, way before the iPad, right? Because if I see it, I know it, and I forged that skill in football. When I was a freshman in football at Williams College, it was 16 millimeter, black and white, reel to reel. And when you're looking at a film 10 years ago of your opponent, because you're spending 20 hours in the film room, yes, you are. You're taking the camera home into your dorm room at night so that you can win on Saturday and not just be at the behest of who's a better athlete. And I could fix a splice of film better than most of the coaches. And you start seeing, down distance tendency. Who's that? Where's he doing? Okay, boom. I would know what the play was going to be in circumstances, and now I get to be Deion Sanders. I'm gonna fake that I don't know, but I do. It's a waggle, and the tight end is coming right here, and I'm going to incent the quarterback to make that throw because he thinks I don't know. Okay, great. And so when I was a junior and a senior, then it turned to video with a dial, right? A video with a dial is color. And you're like, oh, I don't got to waste my time resplicing the film and then lose that much of the play or you can't see it no more, right? Boom, boom, boom. And I just studied the X's and the O's, and we would go back and look at, because my head coach was my positional coach and the most dedicated guy. Williams College is 8 games. That's it. There's no playoffs, right? So he would say goodbye to his family in August, and he'd say hello to them in November, because he was out of the house at 5 a.m. and back in the house at 11:30 at night, every single day, counting Sunday, right? And if you want to be the absolute best, you have to devote everything to it. There's another human being out there that's as competitive and they're as smart, and if you don't put in the time with an intensity, that Malcolm Gladwell, right? The outlier, right? That moksha, I get to spend not 10,000 hours, I get to spend 50,000 hours intensely devoted to the craft. And that, I'm finally able to now have inventions and training techniques that are underneath. You see, I don't want to be on top. Like, I don't want to be better than you. What I want to do is I want to make you better than you. So whatever system or discipline you want to do, I want to give you the keys that allow you to do that better. So your win is my win. So it's not this competitive thing, it's a cooperative competition. And since most people didn't line up the shot and engineer an output where my win is your win, most people are thinking, oh, I'm going to beat him or her or them. What I did, I had the foresight to say from the beginning, balance is the foundation. I will be the best at balance. And now I get to be underneath. And that's what's led to these inventions that they surprise me. The propulsors. Like, are you kidding me? Every single athlete, pro and otherwise, many, in each category, run faster upstairs with propulsors than without. I asked them, my question that I ask across the board, I said, if I were the coach who's going to punish you and you're going to do 20 more reps, do you want to carry 12 ounces in each hand or not? Oh, I definitely won't carry them. And then the way that I measure time athletically and height, measure things, I don't measure with a clock. I measure with video. And if I don't move the camera and you start at the same position and you take the same path, I can now lay rep over rep. So I'm not just saying, oh, that's faster with no understanding. And, oh, well, I hit the thing there. Oh, he gamed the laser so that he actually, didn't run as fast, but he gamed it. So he did. When you look at it, the eye in the sky don't lie. If you don't edit and you don't move the camera, you have the same exact frame. Ghost it over. Okay, now I know exactly what's going on. And it is precision. The BOSU logo, right? This hat right here, that symbolizes 2 infinities, both sides utilized. So think of a number line, and you got the positive direction on the number line, but you also have the negative direction on the number line, and it's infinity in both directions. You got 2 hands, and it's infinity with both, figure 8s. And what is it? It's the vertical, and then it's the horizontal. And we have the cardinal directions. Boom. Now we know north, south, east, and west. And if you do this, and then you do this, well, now you got 8 slices of pie. And now you can mathematically organize and orchestrate this musical movement, because music is math. And I want precision. I want to be able to show the athlete, not tell the athlete, I want to be able to show them Do you see how your foot is doing this here? And you see how your foot does that there? Well, what I want you to do on this next rep is I want you to focus on making your foot do this rather than that. So now they get third person perspective of themselves. I've worked with kids, bringing them up to 92 miles an hour from 89 in one session. And I was like, what, you got any film of you I can see? Oh yeah, and they give me a video of their mom shot from behind the fence. And like, what? That's your video? Right? And then the guy, he's like, you know, he's back on the pitch and he's not inside 90 here. He's like, here. Okay, we need to get you inside 90 to get you outside of 90 to throw it faster. And he sees the video of himself. He's like, I'm doing that? Like, what? I'm doing that? It's a complete revelation. It's 100% surprise because his coach told him to do such and such. And 89 miles an hour is that's good in high school, right? You're getting letters from schools at 89. Yeah. But, you know, you're sore afterward and you're not breaking the 90. And we can do that in one session. Video, right? These are the essential tools. And when I went to Williams College and I was handed a playbook as a freshman. I mean, it might as well been Greek. Like cloud, sky, like what, three cheated, 5, 2, 1, 4, like what? Dime, nickel. I fell asleep in the meetings in the beginning. And then as a sophomore in the second game, I got to play varsity on the second game because it was the run. It was the Tufts offense did the sort of whatever
wing stuff.
Yeah, the wing stuff, right? The wing option. And so I was, you know, good at tackling and hitting a blocker, better than the senior who, you know, had the position, right, and the coverage, you know, good enough. And then the third game, the safety went down with an injury. And I was thrust into the starting job as free safety as a sophomore who had fallen asleep in every meeting. And so literally I had this assistant coach who took a liking to me and I liked him. And literally that was cramming for the test. And our strong safety knew it inside out. So he was able to assist and make sure I'm doing the right thing. But on a football field, there is no thinking. It has to be now, right? They shift position, defense got to change, right? There's no, oh, gee, what, right? That's how I do Jiu Jitsu now. I'm not good enough to do it reflexively, right? I'll get into a position. I'm like, okay, I know I got two options. I forgot what they are. So, okay, he gets to do a couple moves before I get to respond, right? He's got a higher belt than me. So, and what I want to do with this conversation is I want to inspire and I want to motivate people that they can exceed their own expectations athletically and in life, right? I'm going to be talking about mental health issues. Why? Because I want to give people permission to say, you know what? I have been weak and now I'm stronger. It didn't kill me, I'm stronger, rather than suffer that, oh, I'm strong with that little, you know, speck of sand in your eye, right? You got to take that speck of sand out your eye. Otherwise, it's always going to be eroding the true enduring strength. And right now, in the state of affairs of, like, you know, strength and conditioning, I mean, are you kidding me? Biomechanics of locomotion is literally the softest science on earth right now. Chemistry is where the money is. You know, chemistry is like, okay, we're gonna make Lance Armstrong the best. They're all doing it, but we got the best chemist involved, right? And there's money in that sport. There's no money in track and field. When I worked with Tyson Gay, we were in a regular gym next to a 70-year-old doing an exercise on a machine, and we hop a fence to go to a high school track, and his coach doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like Tiger Woods, Lance Armstrong, I mean, put him in the wind tunnel. Let's see. Oh no, we changed the helmet. No, Lance, go here, not here.
Yeah, and that's I mean, you said a lot of incredible stuff there as far like just like, I mean, what, like the ability to improve, like, again, physical movement, you get into fascia, you get into blood flow in the brain, you get into all these things. Like I always try and look at it as, let's take care of brain health before we get to mental health. Cause like, if you have the energy in your sleep and you're doing all these things, you have the ability to move and keep, again, that whole pulmonary pump system and flushing system in your body, like the water we talked about earlier, if you keep that moving, the stagnation in the brain isn't as frequent. And literally like the ability, yeah.
And thank God for the specialization, because me personally, I have zero expertise other than an informed layman's position, because I do read and I do talk to people like you. But if you want to talk about oxygenation of the brain and all these things, like, that's not my lane. That's not my lane. Oh, you want a 6-week program, so you're going to peak on May the 2nd, like, okay, 9 months from now, whatever it is. Like, I don't have any experience doing those things.
Yeah, and that's
what happens is, when you have confidence in one particular area of expertise, you're no longer afraid of being wrong. You don't got to pretend to nobody, because let's have a conversation, and where I am wrong, thank you, because now I'm right.
Yeah, and
I remember when I was a kid, the peer pressure, like, if you didn't hear the latest song, and it wasn't like you could go get it, it was on the radio, you either heard it or you didn't. And everybody's talking about the Kinks and, oh, that song. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a great song. Like, if they called me out and said, sing it, I'd have been revealed. The peer pressure to not be part of the gang, right? Most people suffer that throughout life. And they say public speaking, one of the hardest things for people to do. They fear it more than getting hit by a car or whatever. Now, when I went into acting as a 22-year-old, I was so terrified to stand up and just perform that, like, I remember not remembering the experience of an audition. You see a fire alarm, you're like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And you get rejected 2,000 times, because you throw commercial auditions in, you're doing 6 a day. I started to get work when I was 26, 27, because I no longer gave a fuck about, you're gonna reject me anyway. So now you come in and there's a certain danger. Ooh, there's a certain confidence, right? Oh, instead of begging for a job. And that's when I started to get work, is when I just said, okay, the odds of me getting this are low anyway, wing it, go for it, right?
You get what you get, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, I think if you haven't been exposed to the fire, you fear the fire. But if you've been in the crucible, where it's not that you melt the metal, you vaporize it and it goes away, right? And now, if you've been there, throw it at me, baby, right? Throw it at me. I would have zero nerves or apprehension. I used to be energized, excited, but if I had to stand up in front of any number of people and talk about biomechanics of locomotion and fundamentals of movement, which are swinging, throwing and catching, and locomotion. And locomotion, it's swimming and it's brachiation through, the trees. That's what it is. And they're all the same. They're all the same, and those are the basics. There is nothing underneath those except for the stuff you're doing, which is breath and the internals, right? And we let people stay in their lane, right? I'm never going to catch up. Even if I catch up, I'm not caught up.
Yeah, and that's where, like, your point on the specialization, I think's special, because I don't know if you know Charlie Weingroff at all. I had him.
Yeah, I know him. Well, I know him briefly, and I know of him.
Yeah, I think his view on that is pretty dynamite, in the realm where, you're going to be the specialization or specialist in the locomotion area. And then now you get these guys that it's almost like a badge of honor to have, oh, I got a speed guy. Oh, I got this guy. I got this acupuncturist, this IV guy. But it doesn't matter if these groups aren't communicating, particularly in the rehab world. But like in your world, I think the cool thing with the movement is that it just, even when you speak in relation to the muscles and the architecture of the skeleton, I think is really special, because I found that out through experience, where the good chiros, even the good acupuncturists, like, now you start prioritizing order of operations. Go get your massage before you show up to me, so that we can get rid of these things that are impinging the architecture. And then, but like, it makes more sense to, again, as you're training, make sure it's flowing in proper movement pattern. So like,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I had a question for you. Like, so I'm sure you get pushback in some essence or like criticized in that realm. What does that usually look like as far as people approaching locomotion that way?
Well, let me first make an observation and sort of comment about the skeleton.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So with the skeleton, one of the priorities for the cellular respiration or muscular activity is the ion exchange of calcium. So, and the body is efficient chemically inside, right? So it's always seeking efficiency. And so as soon as an astronaut goes up into, that zero gravity, I believe that instantly the body says, oh, I'm going to pull the calcium from where it's easy, internal. I don't have to metabolize. It's just right there, right? And you start deossifying now. Life is now. And when you can measure it, there's a delay. Like you don't know when the first little, atomic calcium atom comes off. It is an aggregation. You need 1 million of them or whatever to come up before you can even measure it, right? And I believe that the skeleton is actually, and it's a theory, just like the deadlift story I told you, okay? So tell me a better story. I believe that the skeleton is a crystalline matrix that is actually an antenna, okay? It's an antenna. And if you read the Bible, apparently Jesus couldn't have any broken bones. So on the cross, they pierced him, but they did not break him. What they do on the cross is they club your ankles when they want to speed it up, because now you suffocate a lot faster because you can't stand on the block. They wanted Jesus to, to suffer all the way to the end. So they never broke him. And the prophecy was that the one can't be broken skeletally. Oh, because if he is, he's not the one, because you can't perhaps now radiate that from without, that astral wash and the stuff that is just too complex for us to even contemplate. And I believe that the hair is also an antenna, right? And the sort of airy, fairy, scary, right? Like I can go boo and the hair stands up. Now, why do whales, some of whom, they're mammals with hair, why do some of them have a vestigial pelvis and a thigh bone? What? And when you're underwater, when you're baptized, perhaps there's a short circuiting of certain frequencies that have influence on us, the entities, the meat puppets in this realm, right? And so if you just allow your mind to go to places and pull a logical thread through, right, you can glean certain insight that says, oh, interesting. And that story helped me come to another story, which is, I believe that power in the body, like the guy who's going to high jump 7 feet, 8 feet, that person is a window of opportunity where it's actually the skeletal system that's optimal. It's not the fascial, myofascial, because there's a lot of people at 45 who are a lot stronger than they were at 25. And if you're in the strong game, you can go past your athletic prime and still be stronger, right? Because the bones don't need to be springy. Now, an infant, rubber bones, so it's extremely forgiving and not a lot of body mass, so they can fall off the swing and nothing gets broken. Oh, interesting. But they're not powerful. Now, you go to an old person, they're brittle. They're not powerful. You find that like 18, 22, 26, up into that 32, there's a window. And think of a bow and arrow. Like think of a bow and arrow and then go back in history and think like, okay, we just took down a caribou, right? And we've got the shin bone, very long bone, and there's this tendon that goes up from that attachment at the top to the bottom. Could a guy start playing the harp and, hold that wet, fresh kill bone that has some flex to it, and that thing is a binging around, and now that tendon, you can sort of pull it back and maybe take another thing and just bing, and maybe you got the first bow? Maybe, I don't know. It's just a story. Can we glean some insight into it? And then can we sort of use common sense as opposed to sitting around like, oh, that's not peer reviewed. Oh no, oh, I'm so afraid. Like, That's where we are. We got a bunch of cowards trying to tell us what's what. And that's my observation. And I just stated as an observation so that people can say, oh, maybe a little shot of apple cider vinegar, maybe that's a benefit to digestion, but maybe it keeps that sort of collagen, crystalline, calcium thing in balance where you get a little springier in your age. I don't know. Soak a chicken bone in vinegar and you're going to be able to bend it and tie it into a knot.
Yeah, and that's where, like, with that experience you're talking about and the stories and that kind of stuff there, I think in the inverse, like, people tell stories why they don't try stuff, because I get in the breath world where, like, people won't even listen to me or adopt what I'm talking about until they feel it. So I usually have to get people to feel stuff right away. So when I look at your movement coaching and the whole Weck method, which is awesome, like, until you feel it and then you objectify it with the time, like, it makes logical sense.
Well,
and so that's
yes,
where, like,
and empirical measurement is what matters. Results rule. So I don't care what your theory is. If you don't get a better result, well, okay. If your theory's right, you're doing it wrong, right? And odds are your theory ain't right. So the criticism, now we'll address that, okay?
well, like, just before we get over, like, what are some results you've gotten that, like, just popped to mind from guys that have obviously switched from the traditional only strength training into your coaching?
Well, just empirically stronger. They can move more weight. They can jump higher. They can run faster. I mean, and it's routine now because what they're coming in with is a training methodology that, you know, if you step back and see it for what it is, like, why the hell are you doing that? At best, it's a waste of time. And in reality, it's probably counterproductive. And again, I'm going to go back to these non-contact injuries. I mean, you get Jeff Van Gundy and his brother asking, like, what the hell's going on? These guys are dropping like flies. The floor surfaces have never been better. The Boston Garden in 1980s, you'd think that thing was sprung. I mean, there were hot spots and sweet spots. I mean, now the NBA floors, you're going to play 80 plus games. You play that on cement, you're going to be done.
Yeah.
There's a resonant frequency. And so if we look at the causal factors, why does it happen on a court and a grass field and a turf field? All right, well, that seems to say, there might be another factor other than the surface, right? Is it the footwear? I don't know. Got to drill into that, right? But it's happening in a basketball sneaker, and it's happening with a soccer cleat, and it's happening with a football cleat. Does that mean, I don't know, right? So they're dropping like flies. And now they're training more now than ever. Like, Lawrence Taylor didn't hit the weights. You kidding me? Lawrence Taylor, Bo Jackson, he stood up in front of the NSCA as, you know, on the dais, the keynote speaker, and he's like, I never trained, and walked off the stage. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't lift weights. You know what I'm saying? Now, if there was intelligent training, I'll bet you money I can make Bo Jackson better. I'll bet you money. I'll bet you so much money that I'll give you all my rights and patents if I could make him better. Because I know the buttons to press and the strings to pull. And I've done it so many times, and I've done it personally, right? You're going to go to the guitar teacher who can't play the guitar? Like, really? You know why he's the strength coach? Because he couldn't play on those 11. And so he got real strong in a weight room, and he loved the atmosphere, and, you know, he's just as alpha as everybody else. So he's now the strength guy. He can't play, he can't run, he can't jump, he can't throw, but he's telling you how to get stronger because that works for a time, okay? Best thing you could do for a high school guy if you don't know what you're doing is just add weight to the bar, right? You know what I mean? Like, and you got the natural hormonal boost happening there too, so you're running a cycle and you can only squat 180 and now you're squatting 400. You're gonna jump higher and you're gonna run faster, okay? But there is a diminishing return to anything that we do. When I find something that is worth my time because it's going to make me better, I intensely pursue it to 80%. And then I stop, because the last 20, it's going to be a disproportionate amount of time for a diminishing return. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get 80. And then I'm going to go get 80 somewhere else. I'm going to get 80 somewhere else. And now I'm going to come back on that 20 and I'm going to get 80. Yeah, baby. And then I'm going to go back. And so, and what I'm doing over here is going to inform and improve what I'm doing over there. Right? And high-powered intellect that burns hot. Last night for dinner, I had 2 pounds of meat, eat it with my fingers and drink the juice at one sitting. And the only reason I didn't eat 3 or 4 is because the place downstairs closed at 9 o'clock and it was 9:01 when I finished, okay? Then I had a whole tub of yogurt, dipping Manuka honey on a spoon, and and then I take the yogurt, and I take off like the first layer of honey. Then I take off, and I'll just eat and eat and eat. Because I think my brain just burns more calories. It's like I can't gain weight. You know what I mean? So if you apply that kind of drive to a certain thing that you are so passionate about because you would have given anything to be Bo Jackson plus 200 pounds. Anything. I had a Taoist healer, a friend of mine named Chris Holder, who coaches at Modern Day High School, a perennial, best in the country football program. And he's their strength coach. And he has the Eastern training. So he has the Western strong, but he also has the Eastern internal knowledge. So he's bringing something special to the table, okay? He put me on a table, touched me 3 times, and the rest was not even touching me. But you talk about energetics and air and breathing. Like I could feel the energy moving. Energy's real, okay? Even though you can't measure it and see it, it's real. And so he does that. I get off the table and he's like, you're gonna have very vivid dreams tonight. Okay, so just pay attention to your dreams tonight. So that night, my dream was that I was presented with the option of what body entity does your soul want to embody? Because now's your chance. You could be Bo Jackson you want, right? You could be anybody you want. And at that point in time, just perfect, because I'd have taken somebody else long ago, that's for sure. My soul chose me. And that was that profound, like, okay, now I'm living for a purpose. Like, where there is a will, there is a way. Roger Bannister breaks the 4-minute mile. And the next year, there's 135 people who break the record that was once thought to be impossible the year before, and your heart will explode. It will never happen. Look at the Red Bull athletes and look at what they do. Now go back to when you were 5 years old and see what they could do back then. When I was a kid, going in an empty pool with a skateboard and just going around was considered like the most amazing thing that you could do, and it was. Yeah. If you give a human being permission, you give them that permission, you give them that insight, and it's cellular. There's a phenomenon in psychiatry that 100 monkey theory. If you have 100 monkeys and you teach them the task, the 101st monkey over there that was never taught the task can do the task. Ooh, hair, bones, ooh, mystery, ooh. Even Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Oh, it's definitely Darwin. Okay, you have the Precambrian phylogenetic explosion, and then you start calculating this mathematical probability. Okay, some string of amino acids is going to create a viable protein, but it's a whole bunch of amino acids, and now they all have to randomly mutate and then be selected for, and you're going to take a little thing like this and it'll turn into a hippopotamus. Well, what? How? What? Like, really? I don't know. The story doesn't hold together. Now, it is a very useful exercise to play it through on that story. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And there certainly is microevolution, sexual selection. I mean, look at the big bad wolf who wasn't the biggest and the baddest, and now he's a dog, right? Yep. He man best friend, and now you got this big, you got this big, and they just, how many hundreds of years was it? You see what I'm saying? So you can fundamentally change the shape, the size, the color, the behavior, all that stuff just through breeding. And now with all the mystery that's in the world right now, Air Force pilots telling us, I swear to God, I saw this big thing go in the ocean, came out and went bing. I don't think he's got motivation to lie, and I don't think he's drugged up, you know, flying that jet. Oh, really? I saw a UFO. It was weird. I was in my backyard training ropes back in the beginning, and it looked like a giant tube, not giant, but it looked like a tube the size of an automobile, and it was silent and it was slow. There was no propulsion, there were no wings, there were no nothing, and it was just, and I saw it, okay? Maybe it didn't happen, but perception's reality, and I saw it. Right? Okay, wow. I remember climbing on the roof going like, what the hell is that thing? It's 11:30 at night in San Diego. So who knows what the real story is, right? But it's all to God's glory. Again, when I was an actor, what happens is you put yourself, you're given the script, you're going to play the character. The first exercise, if you're a good actor, is to say, okay, what would I do in that given set of circumstances? So you have a reference point upon which you're going to build the character, right? All right, let's say this is a script and I get to play God. What would I do if I were God? There's no beginning, there's no end, and I know all. Shoot me now, shoot me now. What? Never any surprise, never anything unexpected, good, bad, indifferent? I would create creators. I say, you make dinner. Surprise me, right? Wrap the Christmas present and just give it to me. I'll pretend I don't know. Literally, that's what I would do. Yeah. But I'd make it all to my glory. And I wouldn't get hung up on good and evil, because it doesn't matter. It equals M. It's the same shape, same character. E equals M. So it can't be created, can't be destroyed. We have this thing called dark energy and dark matter, dark E and dark M. What if that's just God's way of saying, well, I'm not paying attention to you right now, so you don't matter, right? You're dark. Now, if I'm God, maybe I'd punish you and say, oh, you know what, you guys, I didn't like that story. Go off on your own. I'm going to ignore you for a while, right? Go figure out something that I care about. And again, they're all just stories. They're all just stories. It's a way to play the game where you open your mind. And that's where new opportunity is, right? You think that your great-great-grandparents were thinking about going from LA to New York, and where's LA? What's that? You know, go back to Pilgrim time. Oh yeah, you're gonna go to Los Angeles. What's Los Angeles? Oh, and you're gonna get on a big metal thing and it's gonna fly over, and you gotta take your shoes off and your belt off and you gotta go like this. Like, what? You know what I mean? It would have been inconceivable, and you'd have been run out of town. Oh, you nutcase. I'm gonna burn you at the stake. You start talking that jibbly jobbly nonsense. Yeah. Right? We got no idea where this thing's going. No, we got no idea where this thing's going.
That's what makes it so fun.
Listen, what we face right now is the machine, the artificial intelligence, and the key is that we align the interests of the artificial intelligence to enhance the human experience and expand human consciousness. And if Klaus Schwab and all his little, gremlins and goblins get a hold of it, well, then it's going to be a very dark nightmare where the light of liberty is extinguished, and now God would have screwed himself. That's right.
We're going dark.
Physical education is human salvation because it's the only thing that's accountable and integrity. Said from the beginning, 10 push-ups, it ain't 11. Told us 11. Oh, what's it, a bad day? Well, how many did you do? You did 10. And when we make human beings, the Americans who have at least the facade of liberty, right? If we make ourselves, have that integrity of our ancestors, and better. We have the technology, we have the nutrition, we have all these things in our asset, and we're walking around in pain, being frustrated and annoyed with no time for anything except for to grind it, pay your taxes, bite your fingernails, max out another credit card. That is literally the state of the world right now. And once we harness the power of artificial intelligence, bang, scarcity disappears. Oh, there's a drought? No, there ain't. Right, move the water. Oh, you don't want to drive a UPS truck? Well, guess what? You don't gotta. You can go play baseball with your kid. You see what I'm saying? That's where we're headed. We play this right, that's where we're headed. And it is a few good men and a few good women gonna make it happen. It is the athlete. It is the God's honest man or woman in the arena. It's not the critic up in the stands. This is serious as a heart attack. This is serious as a heart attack, the business that we're in, and we're gonna whip up this industry, fitness industry, sports training industry, to be noble, honorable, respectful, and the charade is ending, okay? The charade is ending. No more false confidence, it's only real confidence moving forward, because guess what? NFL, baby. Not for long, baby. Yeah, you think you're bad? Get on that field. Let Ray Lewis hit you. Okay, we'll see what you got. Get on that football field. See, it's all metaphor.
Yeah, but the cool thing, like how I'm reading your metaphor in essence, like that's why it's such a logical tactic to freedom, is that freedom of movement. And like, because that translates to the freedom to create. Because like football is an art, every sport is an art form. I don't care how you want to view it, like, because everybody has their own little nuance and their own little way to perform, but that makes them great. And sometimes it's a bigger lever than the guy that's just a wrecking ball and kickoff, and they pay you more money, and then you can put together the art in your head better with some tactics and logic and separate yourself. But that's what I like the logic there. One, I like your mind about the creator.
It's integrity. Integrity comes from integration. The integration is what creates the integrity. And the integrity is that you have a good relationship with yourself physically, because you're not fighting against gravity, you are fighting with gravity. Gravity's our best friend. Without gravity, the material just disappears. Bye-bye. You're vapor. You're just, gravity, the pressure makes diamonds. And I'm from New Jersey, and now you ask me about the haters, the people who, tell you what you're doing is wrong, and they go out of their way to campaign against the BOSU ball. In 2007, in my industry, fitness and sports performance, what happened was the narrative shifted to core stability. The core does not generate power. It is for transmitting power. I have a PhD with 200,000 peer-reviewed articles, and yes, let me bow to the altar, the demigod, yes, core function. Now suddenly you have the permission to dismiss anything that I say, because BOSU balls make you weaker. You can't brace yourself as stiff on a BOSU ball. Therefore, it makes you, maybe it's okay for some, not even sit-ups. Those are bad. We can't flex or extend our spine. That would be a terrible thing to do, right? The foundation is stiffness and rigidity and immobilization. That's the foundation of it all. And we have a PhD and we got the peer review. And we've played the game of that institutionalization where, you want a job in the NCAA as a strength coach? Well, guess what? You need a certain certification. You don't got that certain certification, which is guaranteed income and cash flow. Well, then you don't get to play in this game. Oh, really? That's exactly what it is. 2007, the narrative shifted to the greatest nonsense that you could even imagine. If you have one iota of common sense, not encumbered by the intellectual bullying that just, yes, I'll say anything. The emperor, his robes are beautiful. He ain't wearing nothing, and we can see the little thing dangling out there that it ain't quite as big as he wants you to believe it is. That's right. You see what I'm saying? And so the slings and arrows that I have endured as the inventor of the BOSU ball, it is every single day, not one, tens, 50s, hundreds, are posting online or telling people in person that BOSU balls suck, because that is sort of your dues to play in the club and be accepted by that structure, okay? And it used to drive me absolutely angry and insane. And guess what? I'm from New Jersey, okay? I understand something called Jersey just is, okay? And I got a chip right there, and I dare you to knock it off, because you ain't gonna knock that thing off. Because why? Because I will die. That's how it's gonna keep coming, and it will never stop. You will have to kill me, okay? That's what New Jersey just is, all right? And so what I did was I took the anger and the rage, and I didn't deny it and say, oh, I'm so happy. No, I took that anger and I rage, and I internalized it, and I compressed it with pressure, not stiffness, pressure. And now it's a diamond. It's the hardest substance on earth, and it's called true balance. And I figured out the Rosetta Stone of exercise or training modalities, which is a simple piece of rope. You want to embody the quality of the tool you're using, which is that fluidity and the truth. Because if the rope is true, guess what? So are you. And you do enough reps, and suddenly your landline turned into wireless. That's right. This guy knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing intimately with integration. Tai Chi Chuan. The English translation of Tai Chi Chuan is supreme ultimate fist. How can the hand be perfect if the body isn't perfect? It's all mass. All we have is our body weight. That's all we got. And all things equal, bigger, faster, stronger, beats slower, weaker, and not as strong. It's just, that's a fact. And so I found the new trick, which is the old trick, just, in the modern world, which is balance, head over foot. Okay, bang. Okay, my back don't hurt no more. I did the rope. Okay, and that's what's happening. Yeah. And the pandemic, that set the seed for rope flow to form into this worldwide movement that is now a thing, and it ain't gonna stop. When you jump a rope, excellent exercise, you should do it, be familiar with it, because that's a syncopated rhythm. My hands go down, my feet come up. My hands go down, my feet come up. Float like the butterfly. Hands come down, feet come up. Now, sagittalitis. Okay, sagittalitis. Every now and then I'll do that. Okay, yeah, okay, right? If you're any good, you're doing all that too. But rope flow is not syncopated. Hands go down, feet go down. Hands come up, feet come up. It's an integrated ground reaction that is on the beat. And guess what? Every rep forces you to rotate. You're getting that spiral dynamic. Here's what a question that somebody asked me in one of my trainings. He's like, you're all into this like verticalization, maximum spring coil on one side, absolute longest on the other side. You do the other side, you got everything in between better. You're stronger bilaterally as a result. Bang. You're more powerful rotationally. Bang. They say, okay, well, what if somebody just had spinal surgery and they're not in a position to do this? Wouldn't you do the Palloff press then? Absolutely not. You know what I would do then? I would say, okay, you got two hands. Just make figure eights. Just that. Because guess what? When I do that, I'm coiling on this side. And when I do that, I'm lengthening on that side. So what I would do is this. And I would gradually just get better and better at this and increase the range of motion. And pretty soon, you know it, the shoulders are moving, right? And then it distributes down to the proximal, and I'm controlling myself. And I come back better than I was before the surgery because I know what I'm doing. I'm not listening to the lecture guy who's intimidating me with all his degrees and papers that have been peer-reviewed by some little circle jerk looking inside the circle, walling off with a castle wall and a moat to anything that anybody says that is dismissed out of hand, ridiculed, and rejected as anecdotal. Oh, that's anecdotal. Yeah, Usain Bolt crossed first. I witnessed it, and we didn't have some peer review science tell us that. He finished first. Oh, but that's anecdotal. No, it's a fact. Get your head right. That's the only way that we're going to win. And guess what? It's happening. Cat's out of the bag. I mean, it's happening. There's nothing. I could get hit by a bus and this is still happening, okay? There's enough people now who know, and it ain't going backward now. We're getting back to the basics, and humankind going to be stronger with balance. And you athletes, you pros, you guys that electrify us and excite us, and, you know, we bet on you guys, and we drink beer around you guys, and we live for fucking Sunday, because Thursday, shit, come on. I hate my life. I'm living a dream, but it's yours, because it sure as shit ain't mine, right? That's what it is. You guys are the motivation. And I would much rather help 8 billion than 8 million, but the way it works is you help the 8 million, and that inspires and motivates and forms the 8 billion. And we got 8 billion, and 4 billion of them are starving to death right now. Ding, ding, ding. That's 3 deaths. Like 3 little kids in Africa with flies on their eyeballs, and they just died right now with a distended stomach and nothing but the bones. How's that affect the collective conscious? How does that affect you and me, who are going to eat a good dinner, sleep in a warm bed, and get up and drive a nice car and all those things? Oh, great. Really?
Who's gonna create the solution? Who's gonna have the freedom to create that solution?
Individual, autonomous human beings that are capable of forging for themselves, united in purpose, that it is a cooperative, competitive balance that wins. Okay, if it's too competitive, it doesn't win. If it's too cooperative, it doesn't win. You're better than me at football, and I'm better than you at tiddlywinks, okay? The only way that alpha males can truly get along is I need to be better than you at something, and you need to be better than me at something. If I need to be better than you at something that you are better than me, and I don't have my own little niche where I am better, well, then I'm a miserable alpha who turns into a weak alpha, who turns into an evil alpha, because weakness breeds evil. Strength begets good. And that's just the way of nature. That is the way it works in human beings and in consciousness. We need this now literally more than ever.
No, I'm a massive believer in that. A big theme on the podcast is capability over comfort. Then obviously, like, strength is never a weakness kind of concept.
What we want is strength is never the weakness. Weakness is never the strength, and balance is the foundation.
No, I can.
That's why I chose balance. I chose balance, and the problem with balance is everybody thinks it's controlling chaos. Oh, I'm balance training. No. Put a rope in your hand, and that's called BOSU balance, right? BOSU, the product that these guys love to hate, they hate it with such vitriol that it's cost me in unrealized monetary aggregate gross revenues. It's way more than $100 million. You think about this, simple math, right? Let's just say $100 per BOSU ball, and now let's say 1 million BOSU balls since 2007 to now. You think 1 million is a lot? That ain't a lot, okay? Trust me, 1 million BOSU balls is not a lot of BOSU balls, but guess what? Every single college, every single seminar with the NSCA, every single blog post from the PhD, from the physical therapist who've been led to believe that BOSU balls suck. You know how many BOSU balls have not been sold because of that agenda? And I'm not a money guy. I'm not going to change that much when I start making $1 billion, because guess what? That's where I'm going. I'm going to make billions of dollars because I'm going to get into footwear, I'm going to get into apparel, and I'm going to get into surfaces.
Let's go.
How's your toothbrush feel, right? I'm going to make it better. That's right.
Hell yeah.
Right. Surfaces.
Well, like, it just like, I don't even know if this counts subjectively, but like what you said, like, I don't think people respect the tool. You might be using the tool wrong, or just evaluating one attribute of a tool
You could be using the tool right and it's still going to get bashed. Okay. So don't give these guys any credit that does not due. And what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. I can tell you right now. The only way to stop a bully is you have to beat him up in the presence of others. Like, that's the only way it will work. He will never, ever stop until you say, yo, get over here, center of the playground. Hey, everybody, I'm going to beat him up. Bang. All right, get up. Now I'm going to give you 10 fingers, and you're going to climb out of the hole that you're in. That's the only way. NFL, baby, NFL. Why do we play the game? Points on the board. That's it. Nothing else matters. The answer to who came in second place in the 100-meter dash is not I don't know. It's I don't care.
Let's go.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I like
Who
that.
lost Super Bowl III? Right? I don't care.
Yeah, and that
Winning.
Oh yeah, winning fixes everything in that essence. But what helps the winning? We're not gonna go down that because I've already taken up too much of your time.
Listen, we will wrap this up. I want this to cover all four corners of the globe. All right. Every athlete on the planet needs to hear this because it's the rallying cry for the good, strong, honest. We are the ones, the physical education teachers. Gym class is going to be the most important class in school. And we're going to get it to a point where we don't even need to teach nobody nothing, just like we didn't need to teach you how to speak English. You grow up in China, you speak Chinese. You grow up here, you speak English. Why? Mirror neurons. Monkey see, monkey do. And when everybody is kinder because they are more confident, because they are stronger with balance, well, that's the bell we're going to ring. And it's going to be a rallying cry, and we're going to harness the artificial intelligence in the interest of the human experience and the expansion of consciousness. That is what's going to happen. Mark my words. And I'll die trying if it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Go for it. I'm going to die anyway. I ain't dying on my knees, that's for sure.
Guaranteed. Amen to that.
That's right. Joe Namath, baby. Joe Namath. I guarantee it.
Last question. Very, very simple. Best advice you've received or best advice you can give?
All right, I'm going to end on this. Charlie Francis, greatest sprint coach of all time. He said that the greatest cue that he ever received and the greatest cue that he ever gave, wait for it. Wait for it, right? When the opportunity is right, you got to be poised to pounce. If you pounce too early, you ain't going to catch the rabbit. You pounce too late, you ain't going to catch the rabbit. The time is coming where we're going to create a unified fitness front, sports conditioning front. Human movement is going to be reconciled, and how many times can you get 100% of human beings to all agree on anything?
Back to the start.
Guess what? Guess what? 100% of human beings are going to agree that balance is better for themselves individually. 100% of the people gonna agree that faster is faster. And that's what's happening. It is the physical realm where it happens. Everything else is fickle and subject to change at a whim. Physical? You walk into the Jiu Jitsu room with a black belt on, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. You're gonna wrestle this blue belt now. Okay. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just
no faking.
Well, it's just I mean, my wheels are spinning anyways, just because like I'm a believer as well, but because I like, you see the extreme examples of this where like elderly lose function in their legs. I've had a doctor on here talk about doll legs that happens because they have these thick shoes, they stop moving. Then you put their bare feet on the ground, you move them just a little bit, and all this feeling comes back. So, okay, balance is important. So what is balance? Now it's like your surface, it's your cerebellum and your vision. And then
yes, the brain balance, both right and left and upper lower. It's the BOSU. We come back to this.
Yeah.
This is going to be the logo on the greatest shoes ever built for humanity, and specialized for multiple purposes, different models and makes, right? That's what it's going to be, because you give me resources, I'm going to put them to work. And that's what's going to happen.
You're going to create something that God's happy about, you know?
If God were to come down and walk in your shoes, that's the way I want you to comport yourself. That God, him or herself, he would have, or she would have you walk the way he or she would walk if he or she was in your shoes. That's the respect that you should have for yourself, the physical integrity to do it. And last thing, and then I'm rolling on the mat. So, yeah, I got a private with a black belt, with a real good black belt, because I'm learning to be soft. I want to be hard.
Yeah. Because
soft will defeat hard. So the last thing I'm gonna say, the feet can only be effective if the upper body is positioning itself in a manner that the feet can do their job. Because if you're out of balance, bracing your core stiff and walking around, and guess what? What you do with your feet don't matter. Your back is still gonna hurt no matter what you do with your feet. You have to have balance systemically integrated, and it comes from above. Your hands are innervated by the cervical nerves, okay? Your hands are so much faster to respond to the brain's command, because guess what? It's traveling a lot less distance back and forth, okay? The tail don't wag the dog. Unless the tail is wagging the dog right now, politically.
Yeah.
Corporately, just about every aspect of life is now corrupt. And we're going to put an end to that. That's what we're going to do. God's glory, baby.
Dude, you're the man. Dave, thank you so much for your time, dude. That was incredible. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I can't wait to see you again.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have scored a lot of touchdowns in between this and then.
I love it. Yeah. And then for those of you listening, WeckMethod's based out in San Diego.
Yes.
And then in the intro, you'll have all the socials and the website and everything. It'll be tagged in also in the podcast notes. So check him out. Check out what he's doing. His products are awesome, super, like, not just like incredible as far as function, but also I just enjoy using them. So it ends up being just a win-win across the board. But thank you so much for the time and the wisdom. And we'll be in touch, man. Be well.
Sounds great. Thank you. Every step stronger.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Hope you're getting a lot out of it, a lot of value, or at least some entertainment. But if you are enjoying and getting value out, please don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and review on all audio platforms, and then subscribe on YouTube. All of it would be greatly appreciated. All the support is massive. So thank you and be well.